For decades, people have looked up at the night sky and asked the same question. Where are they? It's a question that has driven scientists, philosophers, military insiders, and ordinary people to the edges of what they thought they understood about the universe. We've sent signals into deep space. We've built radio telescopes the size of football fields, pointed them at distant stars, and listened. We've launched probes carrying golden records etched with the sounds of Earth, whale songs, laughter, Beethoven, as if to say, "Here we are, please find us." And yet the silence continues, or at least that's the official story. Dr. Greer doesn't accept that silence. And after more than 3 decades of what he describes as direct research into extraterrestrial contact, classified government programs, and the deeper mechanics of human consciousness, he claims to know something that most people have never seriously considered. The reason extraterrestrials haven't made open, undeniable, landing on the White House lawn contact with humanity isn't because they can't. It isn't because they don't exist. According to Greer, it's because of us. What we are, what we've become, and more specifically, what we do when we encounter something we don't understand. Greer is not a fringe figure speaking from a basement podcast. He is a former emergency medicine physician who founded the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence in 1990, and later the Disclosure Project, an initiative that in 2001 brought over 20 high-ranking military and government witnesses to the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., to testify on record about UFO encounters and classified programs. These were people with security clearances, combat experience, and careers built on credibility. And what they described, collectively, painted a picture that Greer argues the public still hasn't fully absorbed. So when Greer speaks about why contact hasn't happened the way we imagine it, he's not speculating from the outside. He claims to be speaking from the inside of one of the most suppressed conversations in modern history. Here's what he describes. Extraterrestrial civilizations, according to Greer's research and testimony, have been present in Earth's vicinity for far longer than most people realize. He argues that they are not hiding from us out of indifference. They are not unaware of us. In fact, Greer claims the opposite, that these civilizations have been observing human development with extraordinary attention. And what they observe, he suggests, is a species of tremendous creative and spiritual potential that remains dangerously adolescent in one specific way. We weaponize everything we touch. Think about that for a moment. Every significant technological leap in modern human history has had a military application attached to it within years, sometimes months. The atom was split, and within a decade we had nuclear bombs. Radar was developed, and it immediately became a tool of warfare. The internet, GPS, drone technology, all of it born from or rapidly absorbed into military infrastructure. Greer argues that from the perspective of an advanced extraterrestrial civilization, this isn't just a historical pattern, it's a warning signal. According to Greer's testimony and the accounts he has gathered from insiders, there have been attempts at contact, not the ambiguous kind, not lights in the sky that can be explained away. He describes accounts of direct engagement, craft that have approached military installations, beings that have attempted some form of communication. And what happened next, Greer claims, is the core of the problem. Those encounters were met with weapons, with aggression, with immediate attempts to shoot down, capture, or reverse engineer whatever appeared. He describes testimony suggesting that extraterrestrial craft have been fired upon by military assets on multiple occasions, and that this pattern of response has been noted. If that's true, and Greer presents it as testimony, not proven fact, then the implications are staggering, because it means that the barrier to contact isn't technological. It isn't a matter of distance or signal strength or cosmic timing. The barrier, according to this framework, is behavioral. It's the instinct to dominate rather than communicate, to extract rather than exchange, to treat the unknown as a threat before it's been given the chance to be anything else. But Greer goes further than the military dimension, and this is where his perspective becomes genuinely unusual, even within the UFO research community. He describes what he believes is a consciousness component to contact, a dimension of this that goes beyond politics and weapons programs into something far more intimate. Greer claims, based on his CE5 protocols and years of what he calls contact experiences, that advanced extraterrestrial civilizations do not communicate primarily through radio waves or physical gestures. They communicate through consciousness, through directed awareness, through what some might call telepathy, though Greer frames it more as a coherent field of intention. And here is where the second reason for non-contact emerges, according to his framework. It's not just that our military shoots first and asks questions later. It's that the majority of human consciousness is not operating at the frequency, for lack of a better word, that makes that kind of communication possible. Greer describes humanity as a species that is largely externally focused, driven by fear, competition, material accumulation, and survival instincts that made sense 10,000 years ago and now represent a ceiling we can't seem to break through. He argues that extraterrestrial civilizations that have evolved past those patterns would find it genuinely difficult to interface with a collective consciousness that is still so deeply rooted in them. This raises a question that is uncomfortable in the best possible way. What if the problem isn't that they're refusing to contact us? What if the problem is that we haven't yet become the kind of civilization that contact is possible with? Greer's CE5 initiative, Contact of the Fifth Kind, is built on the premise that individuals can bridge this gap through meditation, directed consciousness, and what he calls coherent, peaceful intention. He claims, and thousands of participants in CE5 groups around the world report, that structured contact experiences have occurred during these sessions. Lights responding to directed thought, craft appearing in locations specified during meditation. Experiences that, if taken at face value, suggest that the door is not locked from the outside, it's locked from the inside. Now, reasonable people push back on all of this. The skeptical argument is straightforward. Greer interprets ambiguous phenomena through a framework he's already committed to, and confirmation bias does the rest. That's a legitimate concern, and it deserves acknowledgement. But here's what makes this conversation worth having, regardless of where you land on Greer's specific claims. The underlying question, what kind of civilization would an advanced species want to make contact with, is not a fringe question. It's a civilizational one, and our current answer to it is not reassuring. We are a species that spends more on weapons development than on education, healthcare, and environmental repair combined. We are a species that has pointed nuclear warheads at ourselves for 70 years and called it deterrence. We are a species that, when confronted with genuine mystery, often reaches for control before reaching for understanding. Greer isn't the first to suggest that this pattern has consequences beyond our own planet. The physicist Stephen Hawking made a similar argument from a completely different direction, warning that contact with an advanced alien civilization could be catastrophic precisely because of the power imbalance. Greer's argument is the inverse, that the catastrophic outcome has already been quietly playing out, not through alien invasion, but through human aggression toward contact that's already been attempted. What's emerging from Greer's decades of research, if you follow his testimony, is a portrait of extraterrestrial presence that is patient, watchful, not hostile, but not naive either. Civilizations that have, according to multiple insider accounts he references, been waiting for something specific. Not a technological milestone, not a political treaty, but an internal shift. A maturation. A moment when humanity collectively chooses something different than the reflex toward domination and fear. Whether you believe every detail of Greer's claims or none of them, there's a thread running through all of it that is worth pulling. The idea that contact, real contact, meaningful contact, might require us to change not our technology, but ourselves. That the universe might not be waiting for us to build a better antenna. It might be waiting for us to become better listeners. The silence, in that light, isn't an absence. It's an invitation we haven't yet learned how to accept. And the real reason extraterrestrials may be holding back isn't a secret buried in a classified file somewhere in a government facility. According to Greer, it's something far more confronting than that. It's us. It's the version of us we're still choosing to be, and the moment that changes, genuinely, collectively at the level of consciousness and intention. He believes the silence ends. That's not a comfortable conclusion, but it might be the most important one we've ever had to sit with.